All right, everyone, welcome to this module where we talk about how you can find help just using a tool called Upwork. And the reason we're going with Upwork is because it is probably the biggest collection of contractors. It's got built-in tools for tracking time. You can put up ads in here. You'll get hundreds of responses. People will compete with one another to actually get your business. So I want to, instead of just kind of walking you through the sign-up process, I wanted to show you my account and give you some pointers. Actually, it's my business account. Reason being that Neil and Mike are in the middle of hiring some people, and we could not get me access to their Upwork account right now, just because they're doing a lot and it just didn't happen. So we are going to walk through it with my account and just talk about some ideas behind why you want to use Upwork, the best way to use Upwork, and some things to avoid, because Upwork has recently had a huge uptick in quality. But that also means that they're putting a lot more attention into who's joining, not just the freelancers, but the people who put up jobs. So we want to be very careful with our accounts, because if you depend on something like Upwork to get you contractors and your account gets frozen, it's a huge deal. Believe me, because I actually had this happen just a few months ago, because I've had a legal name change, and my credit card had my old name on it. So they were wondering if I was the same person. They don't want fake identities on the internet, right? And it ended up freezing my account for a month while I sat there and I'm traveling, right? So I'm like, I can't get you anything to show you that I've changed my name. I'm traveling. I don't carry that paperwork on me. I can show you my card that I have with me, my old ID. I can show you my new ID. You can see that I'm the same person. And they were just really difficult to deal with. And I think that's my only complaint about Upwork, is the fact that if you have something like that happen, it is very, very difficult to have support help you. They're not very good at that. So you have to be careful setting up your account from day one. There's a couple of other things, but first let's just go to the sign up page so you can understand how to actually sign up. So this is Upwork.com. We'll scroll through real quick. You can see all the different reasons why you should join Upwork, right? And we're gonna come up here where it says sign up, and we're going to click on it. And what you want to do is say, I want to hire a freelancer, and you're going to click hire. And then it'll actually encourage you to create your free client account, right? So if you're a company, you want to sign up underneath the company name, just know that wherever you are or whatever you're doing, it's going to come through on this, right? So if you're in another country, I'm American, but I'm traveling through Europe, right? I've been going back and forth between Croatia and a whole bunch of other countries. They're gonna make sure that you have the appropriate employee ID number and all that, because they want to make sure you're real and you're legitimate. So it's, in my opinion, better to sign up as an individual, because it's easier, right? You can verify your identity faster. You don't have to worry about if you're traveling, or if you're not sitting there with your EIN, or you haven't applied for an EIN because you're just getting started, right? That's okay. I would just sign up as an individual instead of a company. And you can still put this on your taxes, use your company credit card, or mark it off as a business expense, whatever it is. But I would sign up as an individual. That would be my personal preference if I were in your shoes. I'm going to go ahead and log into my account. It's actually my assistant's account, because we figured that the best way to get around having the account frozen was to have someone in America who has access to all of her paperwork be the person who has the account and hires people. So we gave her a special company credit card for it and everything. Okay. We're gonna log in here. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. And you can see everything's been loaded. You've got messages up here. They've got a decent messaging system, though it's I would be careful, because it does go down frequently or it won't update. You want to try to get the contact information of your freelancers as much as possible, before you're stuck with just using Upwork. Sometimes it can be unreliable. You can post up a job. You can look through contracts. You can just see freelancers. We'll do that real quick. I have one job that's active right now. We're trying out different people for a WordPress visual composer, and it's been ongoing now for a couple months. So these are different freelancers that I've actually hired. We've also got past hires we've got saved. I can actually search for a freelancer, right? So we can go here and search for a freelancer that I've worked with before. You can go to find freelancers. And you can select a category, or you can just put in a keyword here in search, right? So I could put in something like JavaScript and see what comes in. And it'll display everyone who is a JavaScript developer and all of the history of Upwork, which is going to be thousands of people, and they're all over the world. So this is great because it's a tool that anybody can use. It's not something that's restricted just to Americans. If you are in the Ukraine, if you're in India, if you're in Australia, you can find people that work regionally around you. And in fact, a lot of times you can actually hire them and meet up with them if they're in your area. So it is kind of nice. You can also sit here and play with how you sort it. Is it in the right category? I like to do 80% job success and up, and it helps cut down, as you can see, a significant amount of people that are here. So if you say any job success, there's over 200,000 people who know how to do JavaScript. But if I do 80% job success and up, it cuts it down to 20,000. And then we would cut it down even further and go to any hourly rate and do, I personally think that 10 to 30 hours is probably the best bet. Ta-da! So now we've gone from having over 200,000 results to having around 13,000. And from there you can add advanced filters and all that. And this is just going to give you an idea when you're doing your homework. This is what we mean by go and look at some of these contractors, see what kind of keywords they use, what they say they want as far as jobs go. Especially, you want to try to find someone you would ideally like to hire. Like you read through their profile and you go, wow, I'd love to hire this person. And find out how they talk, what's a priority to them, what their customers are saying about them, because you want to include that in your ad. Which brings us to, we can go to jobs, right? And we're gonna just look at a job post. Let's go to post a job. And you can see what that looks like. So you can reuse previous jobs you've written. That's kind of convenient if you've done a really good job of writing up an ad, right? You can also choose the category and subcategory, and that's actually required. They want you to categorize your job so that they can filter out who actually sees the job, right? Then you want to put the name of the job posting. You want to describe the work being done. If you've got files for them to look at, you can attach it, and that includes images and PDFs. What type of job or what type of project do you have? Is it one time? Is it ongoing? Are you just not sure? Maybe you're just testing people. You want to select that, right? How many freelancers do you want to hire? Because sometimes you want to hire an entire team and sometimes you only want to hire one person. You can specify that. Now, skills, usually once you've selected a category, when you type in a skill, it's going to have something pop up underneath it. And if it matches one of the skills they have in their tags, then you can add it. But if not, they won't allow you to put it in there. So if I put in I'm trying to find someone who is skilled in visual composer. Well, it's not a skill that is noted inside of Upwork at this time. So if I were to try to put in visual composer, it wouldn't post on my job because it's not something they're using as a tagging category at this time. So you want to tell them if you're going to pay by the hour or pay a fixed price. Now there's something to note here. Upwork recently sent me an alert that in the later part of June 2016, they're going to start charging a processing fee. Now, here's the tricky part. If you use Upwork, you are not supposed to go off of Upwork and hire people outside of Upwork. It's part of their terms and service. If they find out you're hiring people, let's say you meet someone on Upwork and you hire them off of Upwork, maybe you Skype call them and then you decide to pay them directly with PayPal, and Upwork finds out, which I'm not sure how they do, but sometimes they do, Upwork gets upset and they will suspend your account because you are violating their terms. You've used their service and this is how they make money, so you need to pay the fee. And the fee is, I think they said 3% of your transaction with a contractor. And they're just trying to cover, I guess, the processing fees of having a merchant account for you and transferring money back and forth. I'm not sure how that all works. I do know it kind of sucks for contractors though, because man, they're taking anywhere between 5 and 20% of a job. So if I pay someone $400 for a job, they're going to take anywhere between 5 and 20% of that job, depending on the history of my contract with that contractor. And that's 20% of the pay that I'm giving to the contractor goes bye-bye to Upwork. It's pretty crappy, but I guess it's their way of trying to get a lead fee. I'm not very happy about it personally because I've got a lot of friends that are actually on Upwork. That's how they get a lot of business. And, that's a big, it's a pretty big damage to them financially. It's not good. So I think what's going to end up happening personally is that a lot of contractors are going to start raising their rates to keep up with the fees that they're paying. So I will put this down as a prediction. I would be willing to bet that a lot of really cheap workers are going to stop being cheap soon because they can't afford it. All right, you also want to talk about the desired experience level. I always try to use at least intermediary, right? So I would get the intermediate. And the reason why is because experts tend to cost a lot more money than what I'm willing to pay or want to pay. And entry level isn't enough experience. And what I find is that when someone's not truly experienced in something and you hire them anyways, it tends to cost you more money in the long run. And I don't like that. And I know that you don't like that. So I say we all just avoid that, right? How long do you expect the job to last? You can let them know more than 6 months or less than 1 week. And what time commitment is required for this job? Is it more than 30 hours, less than 30 hours, or I don't know? And the reason why they ask these questions is because if it's ongoing and it's more than 30 hours and stuff, if you're in certain countries, they have to charge you like employee tax and all that. So you have to be real careful about what you put in here if you're trying to avoid things like that. Although I will say this, I don't think it's smart for you to avoid your taxes. Just if it's going to do it, let it do it. At least it's automating it for you. So there's more preferences here. Do you want freelancers to find and apply to your job? I personally only want Upwork users. And the reason why is because this ensures that I can go look at their profile, their ratings, their certifications, all that good stuff. And I can really check into if they're good at their job. Because see, someone could be really good at building a really nice portfolio website, but they could be a nightmare to work with. And that's just me speaking from experience. I have had some really brilliant designers approach me and programmers approach me privately. And they've got these great websites, they have beautiful work, but it turns out that they're really bad with deadlines or they're not very fun to work with. They have a bad attitude. I don't want to deal with that. So I'd rather go on Upwork and see what other people are saying about the contractors that I'm looking at hiring. And so I usually go ahead and select only Upwork users can find this job. You can put in preferred qualifications. I don't ever do that because I think that my job listing should be enough as well as any keywords I put in. Screening questions are very, they're helpful. I wouldn't say important, but they are helpful. These are questions you want to ask someone, usually to just kind of scope out their experience and also their expertise. And there's a difference, right? You can be experienced in something, but not an expert. An expert can help you troubleshoot things and offer you solutions when you don't know the answer to something. Whereas someone who's got decent just experience may not actually have answers for you. So I might ask some questions about hey, I don't know what to do on this part of my site, or what would you do? What would you recommend as a plugin for this? I might put that in there so that when people send in applications, first of all, I want to see if they're paying attention to the job post. Did they pay attention to detail? Because I don't want to have to babysit the contractors that I hire. I want to be able to say, here's your job, here's a description of it, here's all the materials you need. Do you have any questions? And if you don't, please just go get your job done. And so I may put in little things like screening questions just to see if people are paying attention, because if they don't pay attention to the job post, how likely are they to pay attention to the instructions I give them when they're my employee or contractor, right? Also, do you want a cover letter introducing themselves, right? So if you don't add any screening questions, we'll require a cover letter to allow freelancers to introduce themselves. Often I just leave it like that too, because sometimes people have really good cover letters. And when you're through with all this, remember, use the tips we gave you on writing your ad, right? You're gonna come down here, you're gonna go post job, and it creates a really good looking job template for you and automatically posts it to all these different contractors. What's even better is that you actually, in the next page after it's been posted, it gives you this option to invite highly recommended contractors that seem to fit your description. So Upwork actually goes out and makes recommendations for you, like, hey, this person might be good, or this person might be good. So it's a really good tool to use. We like Upwork. I would just say that there's a couple things you have to be careful of. One, make sure that you don't have any discrepancies in being able to prove your identity, because I've had that problem. Two is make sure that you do not take the work off of Upwork, at least when you're first using Upwork to put the job up, right? Now, I personally believe that it's 100% ethical, where after someone's finished a job, if you want to give them another one and you know them personally now and you're talking to them on Skype, I think that it's totally okay for you to go and talk to them directly and pay them directly. And in fact, with the new fees that Upwork is charging, I may do that more often just because I want my contractors to get all the money that I give them. But I would just double check, because that's my personal preference and I'm a rebel, okay? I would personally check what the Upwork terms and conditions are to make sure that doing that after you've done one job with Upwork and then you hire someone privately, find out if you're allowed to do that or if they've got stipulations, because if they find out you're doing things that they don't like, they will suspend your account in a second. And if you're in the middle of a very important project or you really need help with something, it could really just mess things up for you. So we do recommend Upwork. There are a lot of other options out there. Upwork is just the biggest one. They're buying out all these other sites. Like they used to be called Odesk, and Odesk bought out freelancer.com and they combined to make Upwork. So they're buying out the biggest names in the industry for finding freelancers. Like one by one, they're buying them up and they're adding them to the Upwork network. So which is unfortunate, because with all the fees they're starting to charge, I'm sure that freelancers would like to have more choices. But the cruel reality is that this is what we're able to do right now, and I believe that you just got to work with the tools you're given. So I will see you in the next video where we are going to talk about writing your ad, because that's important, right? And it needs to be an attractive ad. It needs to be an ad that makes people go, I really want this job. And also it helps you screen out people that may not be the best fit. So I will see you there.